I come from a very humble background. We lived in a single-roomed blue tin shack in Karen. Those of you who know where Karen is, you know it's one of the leafy suburbs of Nairobi, yes? But our home was more leaf than it was suburb. I did most of my assignments on my lap because we did not have a table, and my dad was reminding me of this, but I was the eternal optimist as a child. Let's take a detour to when I was 11. I was sexually assaulted, and I faced months of bullying. One time after church, because I'm a Seventh-day Adventist, in the afternoon, as boys are wont to do when they're full, we decided to throw K apples and see who would throw it the furthest. And so when my turn came, I just remember picking it up and launching it as far as I could. And it hit one of the youths in church. Now, when my friends saw the mob charging towards us, they ran away helter-skelter. But I stood there, transfixed upon that ground, with an apology in my mouth, knowing that that would suffice. When those boys came, they would hear nothing about it. And this marked the beginning of several months of bullying. After class, I went to the urinal to ease myself, and they walked in. It was a clogged urinal in a church. And they told me that if I did not drink from that urinal, they would beat me up. So I was afraid of being beaten up by a group of boys. So I knelt down and took a little sip from that God-forsaken, cursed, clogged urinal. And I can still remember its taste in my mouth. That's the day I lost my sense of disgust. They laughed heartily and gleefully and left me. I was free. I can explain where the bullying started and what I had done to deserve it. But I can't quite tell you what I did to cause the sexual assault. It's because when you're sexually assaulted, you feel worthless, you feel filthy and very dirty. It's an ever-enduring feeling of dirt. And I felt really unsafe around the older boys. That's why my sport of choice is swimming, because swimming gave me a chance at washing away the ever-enduring dirt. So with every stroke I took, I felt like I was temporarily relieved. High school proved to be an experience for which I was not sufficiently equipped. And I remember that's the first time I was a suicidal boy. I was so confused, I was in so much pain that one time I walked out of the class, in my Form 2 class, and walked to the school hall, tied a rope in a noose onto one of those poles that are used to hoist the curtains, and I just wanted to make the pain go away. So I tied it in a noose around my neck, and I jumped. I must have stayed in the air for about 5 to 7 seconds, and I felt the rush. I felt the excitement in knowing that it was finally going to end before I fell down. I went back to class really embarrassed and in so much pain that I could not make this thing go away. As an extroverted child in the Alliance High School, you could not afford to be poor because you cannot be extroverted without influence. So I used to run away from my parents every time they would come to visit me in school, despite the fact that they never came empty-handed. They always brought something, even if it was a small bunch of bananas or drinking water. They always came. But I missed out on quality time with my parents because I was embarrassed of their poverty. And since I know they're watching, I would like to apologize. I was a teenager and I didn't know better. I sought solace in the dorms or the music centers because I did not want to be seen as this poor kid who cannot afford snacks or nice clothes or even to talk to girls. That's why I also did not apply for any sponsorship. Despite every other assembly, a company coming to say they wanted to sponsor 10 students or 15 or 20, I just could not afford to be seen around poverty. Be anything you want to be, but poor. My covert struggles revolved around my sexuality. Because I had not dealt with the sexual trauma, the words that were being thrown around in high school reminded me of the person I was. But I'm here tonight to speak on my trauma and to overcome it, because if you talk about these things, about the issues in your life, they no longer overpower you. You get to power over them. I'm also doing this so that if any teenager stumbles upon this video who's gone through the same thing I went through and they're struggling to figure out who they are, they might find solace in knowing that another person has gone through the thing that they went through. I got suspended severally from the Alliance High School until one day I was indefinitely suspended, which I think was euphemism for an expulsion. And at that time, my parents had moved to Kisumu, and so I stayed home for more than 6 months, doing nothing, being a bright boy, losing friends, losing all kinds of influence. And from our estate, I was the only person who had gone to that national school. So everybody was whispering, what has he done? Was he expelled? Is it school fees? Is he a devil worshiper? Is it drugs? Like, everybody was just asking all those stupid questions, you know. And that's when I found a companion in porn.